speaking of Matchroom, we got to talk about Regis Prograis signing to Matchroom. Everyone thought that he would go to Top Rank or even PBC. And here's the thing is that apparently the offer from Top Rank was a lot better than the one from Matchroom. But Regis Prograis has decided to go to Matchroom. He also said in an interview that, he wanted to fight guy like Ryan Garcia, Subriel Matias, and Subriel Matias as well. I think he's a free agent. So, hey, maybe he signs with Matchroom. There is a possibility.
That's an interesting wrinkle in all of this. And one of my predictions this year is that we would see a unification between Regis and Subriel Matias. But maybe I don't think so now for reasons we'll get into. But I mean,
if he signs to Matchroom though, because he's a free agent right now, so
or listen, Subriel Matias could go to Top Rank. Because let me tell you one thing about Bob Arum.
That's good matchmaking. That's good matchmaking.
He gets the Puerto Rican. He knows how to market Puerto Rican fighters. Okay, if I'm Subriel Matias, I'm keeping that in mind. But anyway,
yeah, and also Top Rank makes the most sense. I think it really, really also depends on what happens with Devin Haney, because there was talk that Devin Haney might leave Top Rank. There's also talk that rumors that Devin Haney is also going to move up a weight class. Those rumors were also shut down by Bill Haney, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it really also depends on Devin Haney, because if Devin Haney does leave Top Rank and then goes over to Matchroom, that could be a pretty good fight with him and Regis Prograis. But Regis Prograis set to fight Liam Paro, who I believe is Australian, if I'm not mistaken. We just had our, Australian friend Jason Maloney hop on our show as well, who will be fighting this week.
Yes.
Yeah, so definitely go check out that interview. But Bryan, want to get your thoughts on Regis signing with Matchroom?
Regis Prograis will be fighting next month. So it's interesting because 140 is we asked Regis when he came on this show last month. Whenever that was, it was recent. And I asked him about potentially moving up to welterweight at some point. He was like, 140 is more popping right now. And he's right. Because if you look at what's coming up, Jack Catterall, who we thought he should have gotten the nod over Josh Taylor. A lot of people thought he should have gotten the nod over Josh Taylor.
It's a robbery. It was a robbery.
He's making his return in a comeback fight against Dara Foley. And that's going to be May 27th. So that's coming up, right? That's on the Mauricio Lara Lee Wood 2 rematch card. And next month, you have, obviously, Josh Taylor versus Teofimo Lopez, WBO title, Madison Square Garden Theater, controversially. That's June 10th. The week after, Regis Prograis has the I'm coming home fight against Liam Paro in his hometown, which Shantelle, I did call when we were texting about it. I was like, he's going to sign there. He's going to have a fight in New Orleans and a bigger fight later on. I think you circle that on your calendar, because what it looks like is Regis Prograis, Jack Catterall in the fall. That's what I feel like Matchroom is sort of setting up, which is smart for them to do so. Other options in-house, Gabriel Galaz Valenzuela, who had that nice win over Steve Spark in a split decision. Maybe that's a title defense he could have. Richardson Hitchens, way more interesting to me.
But that's the thing. Like, all of those fights are just meh to me, right?
But that's what I'm saying.
And we know that's the route. Like, we know that's the route that he's going to fight Liam Paro, and then we know he's going to fight Jack Catterall. We know that. And when I take a look at that, I'm like, I don't really want to see Regis do that, because isn't Regis pushing 35 right now? 34, 35?
Mid-30s, yeah. And he wants big fights, which he said. I think him and Jack Catterall is a big fight for, like, boxing fans. But is it a big fight in terms of transcending the sport? Not necessarily, right? And I don't think Matchroom offers that as much as Top Rank would have. So maybe we could ask him. We'll have him back on the show. We could ask, like, what the decision there was, because Top Rank, and this now we'll pivot to the WBO side of this, the Top Rank side of this. The logical matchmaking there is obviously the winner of Josh Taylor, Teofimo Lopez, will become the champion. Arno Barbosa and Jose Ramirez don't have fights right now, and they both won, and they should fight each other. Presumably, you can make that fight happen still in July or August. Yeah. And the two winners of those fights, let's call it Teofimo Lopez and potentially Arno Barbosa, because I think he's underrated right now and look better against Jose Pedraza than Jose Ramirez did against Richard Comey, in my opinion. Maybe you have the two winners of those fights. They fight Heisman night pay-per-view. Maybe a pay-per-view or just on ESPN, probably just ESPN on December. And there you go. There you have your sort of top-ranked little tournament or whatever the case may be. And I think there are some pathways to making interesting fights if
Mhm.
promoters are also going to come together. There's Rolly Romero's fighting for a WBO interim title now this weekend, and
And he
he's
will
somebody.
win the title. Like he's gonna win the title. So he's gonna be someone at 140 that's gonna have a title, and people are probably gonna want to fight him. But yeah, I love that path as well. Arnold Barbosa and Jose Ramirez. And when we had Arnold Barbosa Jr. on our show, he said he would love that fight with Jose Ramirez. And so I would love
Mhm.
to see those two obviously fight the winner of Teofimo Lopez and Josh Taylor. And we know that Jose Ramirez at the same time wants to avenge that loss against Josh Taylor as well. So this would be easy matchmaking. And if he would have chose Top Rank, it would have been so much easier because he would have had so many options. But I do think the one interesting factor is Subriel Matias is a free agent, and Regis Prograis did say that he wanted to fight him. So if Subriel Matias does end up signing with Matchroom, then there's a massive fight there.
And also, one thing I wanted to mention was Rolly Romero fighting for the WBA interim title. I was looking at the rankings
Yeah.
and for the IBF, because Subriel Matias, as you mentioned, like who knows what he's gonna do next. They don't even have top 2 rated contenders right now at this point. So I'm like, oh man, is he only gonna fight once this year? Like, is this gonna be some bullshit? And you're looking through the rankings, it's like Ergashev is number 3. Then you have Liam Paro who's gonna fight. Liam Paro was supposed to fight Arnold Barbosa. Wasn't that ordered
Yes.
by the WBO as an eliminator? And then all of a sudden he gets the title shot, Regis Prograis. Gotta love this sport. And then you have other guys on the rankings who, is he gonna go to ESPN? So because Jose Ramirez is actually there, he's 6th, I believe. And then the guy is sort of lingering all of this, and he's not necessarily gonna get a title shot next, but he will soon. Is Gary Antoine Russell.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Rolly Romero Gary Antoine Russell fight is right there to be had, maybe later this year, maybe early next year, as a title fight that's interesting to me. So 140, there are a lot of options. I think the most creative ones you can have right now are definitely in that ESPN house. But
Yeah.
what we really need are, like, again, ESPN Matchroom and Showtime. We need everyone to come together and make some of these crossover fights, because if everyone's just going to keep it in house, then it could get stale after a while.
Well, they just did that with Ryan and Tank. And so I think Ryan Garcia is actually an interesting piece at 140 as well,
Good
because
call.
what is he going to do? I think there's a really good chance that we might even see him fight a guy like Rolly Romero because they're good friends. These two would probably want to make that fight happen. And I
The
think that's
build
actually
up,
the fight. The
Chantel, the
it,
build up for that
would
fight.
be wild. And that's what I'm saying though, right? Rolly and Ryan Garcia can sell a fight. And
Yeah.
people would want to tune in. And so Ryan Garcia is also a very interesting piece because you saw Regis Prograis. Regis Prograis, that was one of the names that he wanted, was Ryan Garcia, because we know that despite the fact of Ryan Garcia losing to Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia has cachet to his name. Whether
Yeah.
you're a fan of
People
him or
care
not,
about him so much.
yes. And so,
Mhm.
and he has a total different fan base that he brings to these fights that aren't boxing fans or even casual boxing fans. Like, he brings the masses out. Now, I want to go over to Boxing Learner. By the way, thanks so much for rocking with us. He says, this sucks, in my opinion. Top Rank was pursuing, and of course, he means Regis Prograis. He just wasted an opportunity. And Boxing Learner coming with the heat. We appreciate this. He said, Ryan would never fight Regis. I can't believe he mentioned. Hey, Matt, you know what? Ryan just fought Tank. Would he fight
He,
Regis?
he
I
he
don't know.
shouldn't he shouldn't fight
No,
Regis
because
next.
that's another
No.
L.
Yeah, he should.
That's another L. But very good points, Boxing Learner. We appreciate you for hopping on, by the way.
Yeah, I think Ryan Garcia is an interesting name to bring up in all of this, because he, for now at least, is with Golden Boy and under that DAZN umbrella for now at least.
Yes.
Though there are some questions about how long that relationship is going to last. But he just lost, and we may not see him in the ring again until the fall, if I had to guess,
Yeah.
educated guess.
Maybe against Liam Paro.
or whoever whoever Jack Catterall beats the Raw Foley. Yeah. Shit. Actually, you know what? Montana Love, who lost to Steve Spark, and when he throw him out of the
Oh my
ring last,
God.
he's
Yeah.
lingering around somewhere. Maybe Ryan Garcia could fight him. I'd watch that. That'd be fun. But no, like, the 140 division is stacked, but everyone is on quote unquote different sides of the street. So it's just a matter of whether or not it's going to come together. I think for Regis though, like Matchroom promotionally, like it is, I don't think it's a dumb move at all, right? Like I don't think anyone's saying that up here. Like I think it's he's gonna be he's gonna have good matchmaking there. Liam Paro, Regis Prograis, that's a good fight. Fighting Jack Catterall, that's a
Well,
good fight.
no, but
I
no,
would
but here's the thing. This
I
this is
definitely
what I'm arguing
am.
with. This is what I'm arguing with what you're saying.
No,
Yeah,
no,
it's
no,
a
I'm
good.
not done yet.
No,
Hold
no,
on.
no, no, no. Yeah, it's a good fight, but like for boxing masses, for at this point in Regis's career, with
Yeah.
how old he is, like he wants massive, big fights. Regis Prograis is a name that should be bigger in boxing, but it's not. And I
Mhm.
think it has to do with the way that he has been promoted. And at the same time, like we want to see him in those massive fights. Like if Devin Haney does move up to 140, that's a fight that we want to see. Do we want to see him against a Ryan Garcia? Sure. Do we want to see him against, a Teofimo Lopez? Yes, we do. Do we want to see him against a Josh Taylor? Yes. We don't, like, no disrespect to Jack Catterall, because I said that he won against Josh Taylor. But
But
that's a good fight for a boxing nerd. But at the same time, people aren't running to the TV to be like, oh my God, I have to watch Regis Prograis and Jack Catterall tonight. This is the fight. I'm going to have a party for this at my house and invite all my friends over. Like, no one's going to be doing that, right? Like, he's like in his mid-30s at this point. Like, we want blockbuster fights, and that's my issue with him siding with Matchroom. Are you going to have a party for Regis Prograis and Jack Catterall? Because I ain't.
me and you might. That's about it. I don't know who else would come.
I mean,
Like
me and you might for content. That might be a fight where I actually hop on with you earlier. Because Brian's always like, "Yo, do you want to hop on a little bit earlier so we can watch the fight?" And I'm like, "No, man, I get on right before showtime." But, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying though. Like, that's my issue.
my thing is really like some knock that I saw people talking about was can Eddie Hearn, does he have the facilities to build a big star in the US, right? Is Regis Prograis going to be one of them, right? And if you look at the outlook, like to me, it's just really clear. It's Liam Paro, it's Jack Catterall, perhaps it's Richardson Hitchens,
Ooh,
maybe it's
yeah,
Ryan
and
Garcia.
Boxing Learner coming with the heat still, very skilled. I do think that's a good fight, but
I
I
did a
don't think that's a.
feature. I did a feature story on Richardson Hitchens because he's from Brooklyn. I'm like right around the way, whatever. Met up with him and everything. I think he's super, super skilled, and he's somebody who, if marketed correctly, could be a star because he's one of those guys. He's going to be very difficult to hit. He's going to be a pain in the ass. Like he's kind of like, I don't want to say he's as good as Shakur Stevenson, but stylistically they're pretty similar, right? If that makes sense. Coincidentally, they did some training together and things of that nature. Both were in the Olympics. Yeah, I think that's interesting too. But to your point, yeah, I think the bigger fights would have been at Top Rank. So I kind of wonder like what's Eddie Hearn and Matchroom have planned that really sway the direction here, because this really sort of alters the balance of 140. Because if Regis did sign with ESPN and Top Rank, then you're talking about like
So many good fights.
the
So many good
possibilities
fights.
there. You would make him and Arnold Barbosa right away. You could do that straight away next.
Yo, here's the thing though. I think we also heard that Teofimo Lopez also saying that this is going to be his last fight with Top Rank. Is that something that he said?
Among other controversial things.
Yeah. Which we were not going to get into, but yeah.
He did say, I mean, we can.
That's
Probably not
take,
for this episode, but like we can. We'll probably do that leading up to his fight, which I may be at, fingers crossed. But yeah.
Because that's the thing. It'd be interesting to see where Teofimo Lopez goes. Because if he was also to go to Matchroom, that makes things really, really interesting. So I think it really depends.
Given what he said, I probably see Matchroom more likely than Showtime.
Yeah.
You know, if we're
I mean, if we're going to get into that, we'll get into that for another episode. But that's my whole thing is like, I think it really depends on what Devin Haney is going to do. Is Devin Haney, let's say he does beat Lomachenko, and I hate to just say that he's going to beat Lomachenko, but
who also may not be long for ESPN.
So
right?
let's just say that he does beat Lomachenko. He's still undisputed. Then he moves up to 140, has to vacate his titles, and then he would sign to Matchroom. There is a chance that him and Regis Prograis could get it on, but that's a lot. And we also heard Bill Haney say that he wasn't going to move up to 140. So there's also that factor. Subriel Matias, free agent. Will he sign with Matchroom, because I think that's a fight that everyone would want to see. Regis Prograis and Subriel Matias. Subriel Matias probably the most underrated in the 140-pound division. Doesn't get talked about a lot by casual boxing fans. And then you also have the factor of Teofimo Lopez. What is he going to do? Is he going to be leaving Top Rank? Is it his last fight at Top Rank? Because remember, at one point, he did also say that he was leaving Top Rank before.
Yeah.
And
And
he's still
Boxing
fighting under
Learner,
that umbrella.
Boxing Learner says that it's not true. Bob Arum says he has 2 more years in Top Rank. All I'm going to say is contracts are made to be broken. A lot of that, like a lot of this shit, you know what I mean? Especially in this sport, as you can see, people make up the rules as they go. Liam Parr was set to fight Arnold Barbosa allegedly, or ordered to fight Arnold Barbosa allegedly, WBO title eliminator, and then all of a sudden he's getting a title shot at an entirely different network against an entirely different champion, Regis Prograis in New Orleans. People are just making shit up as they go, and let's also remember that Lou DiBella is still working with Devin Haney as well. And we know Lou DiBella, he don't give a shit what network it's on as long as it's a good fight.
And we'll try to get Lou back on again. He was actually our first episode, a classic Lou DiBella episode, if you want to go check that out. Before we hop off of here, Bryan, any final words on Canelo and, of course, the 140-pound division?
Just looking forward to some fights coming up. We'll use this time now to tell people big previews coming up next week. We're going to do a lot on Devin Haney versus Vasily Lomachenko, kind of like we did against Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. So keep it locked for that. And we have Rolly Romero this weekend, so we'll get into a little bit of betting. And Jason Melody, who we had on the show, we'll talk a little bit about his fight coming up. But as far as the 140-pound division, a lot of talented names, some coming up. We mentioned Gary Antoine Russell and Richardson Hitchens also. I want to know what they're going to do because they're kind of up next in the class. And then you have like a true 50-50 fight with Josh Taylor and Teofimo Lopez coming up that I'm very excited about. Very excited that it's in New York City. Wish it was in the big room as opposed to the Madison Square Garden Theater, but that's another story for another day.
All right. And by the way, you got to see Bryan flex on his new accessory for his mic that he's super hype about. But if you haven't already liked the video on YouTube, make sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and make sure to follow us on our social media channels. It's at TheMandatory TKOs. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. And we'll be doing more lives as well, probably around this time, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And so we'll definitely be back with some more content. Keep it locked here on the Mandatory channel for some more content throughout the week because, like Bryan mentioned, Rolly is going to be fighting and he should be champ after this weekend, but we'll get into that on another episode. Yeah, you never know, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that might happen. But you know what? Lately I've been wrong, so maybe I should just keep my mouth shut. But anyways, follow us at TheMandatory TKO. Thanks so much for rocking with us, and we'll be back soon.